Click Connect, special Friday night audit. Stay tuned.
Craig Sullivan, you have got the most amazing shirt I've ever seen in my life. What is that all about?
Hey, that's promoting our other show, 3 Minute Thursday.
Holy shit, dude. What have we done? The mistakes that we're making right now, unbelievable.
You're going to haunt us for years. Are you kidding me?
Hey, Craig Sullivan, so great to see you. So I'm thinking after watching that, that pre-show intro thing that, may God rest her soul, Kirstie Alley, now that she's gone and, Valerie Bertinelli isn't doing as much, maybe we could start doing some of those weight loss ads. What do you think about that, dude?
Yeah, that or a sitcom, one of the two.
Yeah, I think maybe we better stay with the sitcom. Unfortunately, being unintentional drama is my guess. Anyway, great to see you, man. That I just got home from that road trip that we were on together at the beginning and stuff like that. And it's confused the F out of me because I've been to the middle of the desert. I've been on a horse with no name. I've been to off-strip casinos more than you could imagine. And I am confused, Craig. I need to know, what time is it?
I don't have a clue, Glenn. We had a natural phenomenon here this morning.
What is that?
There was water falling out of the sky. Airplanes stopped taking off. Boats were not leaving the marina. Cars remained parked. I don't know what the hell it was.
In harmony. Oh my God.
But it is time for an audit.
Everybody, welcome to the one and only Friday Night Audit, the only show in hospitality where half-assing it is a full-time job.
Okay, there you go. First one of the show.
That's Craig Sullivan. I'm Glenn Hausman. Thanks so much for joining us today. So, Craig, every single week I'm under a lot of stress over here trying to think of something really stupid to say right at the open. You'd think I'd write these things in advance, but no. I have to do it 1 minute before we go on air. Yes, I'm that late.
Why would you waste paper and pen or pencil or crayon? That makes no sense.
I don't know. Usually I do etchings in wood pieces over there. So
there you go. Oh, so Helene's letting you play with sharp instruments again?
Well, what she let me. But then I proved again that maybe I'm not to be trusted just yet. But I'm hoping by the time I'm 55, I can handle a sharp.
Well, I think the smart money says that you're going to turn into the ice cream kid from the Grateful Dead.
I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to go there.
No, that's all right. Well, it's great to see you, Craig. I'm so glad that we're back at home and. I got a lot to talk about, but we got a guest today. Usually we say we got a great guest today. I don't know this guy.
We do have a great guest and a first-time guest.
I know. Yeah, go on.
He lives in the Lone Star State. His business is based there.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful jobs that he does. We saw some photographs. I saw him earlier. You saw him today. Michael Koch from the Koch Group, from the Michael Koch Group. Michael, how are you?
Good, doing well. Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
Good to have you here.
All right, so first of all, we never met. I have no idea who you are, so we're gonna do some like real time networking over here. But first question I have for you is the only thing I know about you is you were talking to Craig. Craig was, suggesting you should do his serious show. You chose to come on here. There must be something seriously wrong with you. I think I already love you.
Well, I can already tell already, just from your sense of humor, we're right in line.
I
Say I'm a half-asser doing full-time work too.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's awesome. So what compelled you to want to do this stupidity with us?
Well, it's funny. I think the last couple of years we've been so entrenched at work
Mm-hmm.
that I said it's time for us to take a step back, start re-engaging with people, and make the job fun again. Start talking to people about what we do and see what's going on. Feel the pulse of the actual industries we work in. Because sometimes you go through the day-to-day grind, your nose is right down there, and next thing you know, a year's gone by, and you're wondering what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, in reaching out, this is one of those first big milestones for our team this year. It's just getting out there again.
That's awesome. And I want to do a cheers to that. So let's run this. I must confess, well, I really do want to say cheers because that's awesome. I am also really thirsty. I need a drink. So what'd you bring to drink today, sir?
Coronas.
Hey, that's great.
Coronas in the glass.
Correct, Corona. Why am I
That
having
is outstanding. But you know, today I am drinking a cool caffeinated, sugar-filled beverage because I've been suffering with a sinus infection all week. So, and until they become a sponsor, they get the blue stripe of disgrace.
I love that. I'm surprised, being that the name of our guest today, you did not have something with a red can. But
right.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was none in the house. I looked for some.
Yeah. Here. Michael, thank you so much.
Cheers. Thanks for joining us.
Everybody out there, thanks for spending some time with us as we kick off the weekend over here. I know everybody worked really hard this week, and I'm sort of saying that about myself.
You worked
I had to go with Coronas. I mean, anybody who's from Texas right now, it's still 98 degrees. It's like summertime all over again. We get our 15 seconds of fall here in about a month, and then it goes into winter for like 6 weeks, and then it's back to summer again.
Does that mean all the bugs hibernate for a brief point in time, and then they all come out again?
Very brief. I mean, even the cicadas can get confused.
Really?
That's funny.
All right, so I'm starting to see more and more why you wanted to do this show with us.
Yeah. So before we get too deep into everything, Mike, why don't you tell the audience about the Michael Koch Group and what you guys do?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I started my career when I left the military back in '93, working for a little company called the Ritz-Carlton.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with multiple companies throughout my career. One you guys might remember, Nextel push-to-talk phones. Yes, working in Switzerland, working for Steve at Apple, and then coming back here at Samsung and working here in North Texas. Well, what I found was along the way during my career, I was learning a lot of great things from a lot of great individuals.
Yeah.
Oh, so you never did meet Craig before?
No, exactly.
No, never in person. Yeah.
Exactly.
This is how I meet everybody. I'm in a bubble. Let me out.
Yeah, exactly. About 5 years ago, I had all these people that I've been working with over my career says, you just got to get away from the corporate life, start your own thing, start sharing all these things that you've learned from these people, J.Y. Lee, Bill Johnson, Steve Jobs, Marciano, all of them, and just go to market and say, how do we help companies engage with their customers in a different way, physically and digitally? And here we are 5 years later. Not related to Ed Koch from New York. I am not related to the Koch brothers. So I can say that's the easiest way to explain my company, a team of specialists that we've worked with everywhere.
Well, Mike, I happen to be an Ed Koch fan because, he was the first mayor I had a sentient for in New York City. And he really espoused the personality of New York City. Even going on like things like Saturday Night Live and stuff like that, which I always thought was pretty cool. So I think he's the first politician that I'd no idea what his policies were or anything like that, because this is the late 70s. I just knew that he seemed to be a guy that might be fun to hang out with. And if I was older, have a beer. I didn't even know if I knew what a beer was, but I knew I wanted to have one with him.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And we spent a lot of time up last year in New York, the last 18 months or so. So I got those two questions. Are you one of the Koch brothers related to, or what about Ed Koch? And I'm like, neither. Sorry.
Yeah. That is disappointing. Maybe you should just lie and come up with a whole story that you're related to all three of them.
Yeah, exactly. that would be an interesting trio, right?
You were the true evil genius in the family, and they kicked you out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one that came from detention centers. Yeah.
That was good. That was good. I like that.
Love it.
That's hysterical. So that's great that you work for the Ritz-Carlton. What did you do when you were working at the Ritz-Carlton?
I started initially with Johnson Properties, Ritz, in operations. So I was one of the guys that worked my way up into an area manager. And then we had one guy, one of the best mentors anybody could ever ask for, pulled me aside and said, young man, I know you're working your tail off. I know you're trying to prove yourself. By the time you're in your mid-30s, you're going to have a stroke.
Right.
You're going to be dead. You're working too hard. Let me show you some other things.
Wait, that's remarkable, because in that era, and my partner Anthony and I and my regular show laugh about it all the time, the whole culture was work till you're dead. And now here you have a guy saying, don't do that.
Yeah, he was like, he's the first one to tell me, he said, listen, I love what you're doing. I appreciate you killing yourself. That's great and all that for the business. You've done a great job for the company. Why don't we start getting you involved in design, construction, real estate, portfolios, etc. My career started from there. I mean, Roger was one of the big guys in my career that kind of just launched how everything went for me.
So did you have any idea that whole part of the business even existed?
Oh, yeah, I knew about it. How I started with Ritz was on a whim. I found out from a friend of mine who was working in D.C. I had just left the Marines. I was teaching at Memphis State University. So the I&I staff there with the ROTC kids. And he calls me up and he says, listen, I'm working up here in D.C. Why don't you come up? They're looking for guys like you from the military. And I said, I don't know the first thing about hotels. What are you talking about? And he goes, just get up here and talk to these people. They're looking for guys like you that they can groom and move forward in their career. Let's get going. Got in my car, drove, came back 2 weeks later. Boom. There's my career start.
Wow. Great story.
It was one of those moments. I mean, like I said, we were talking earlier. I've been blessed along the way. I don't know if it's luck. I don't know if it's just hard work or if it's just engagement. Some of the people I've worked with in my career, it blows me away just looking back on the memories.
You know what I think? This is just coming to me right now. I think the real secret to success is two things. You got to have the hustle gene to get in there and make it work, and then excel and work as hard as you can to learn whatever it is and be as good as you can at it. With hustle and passion, I think you really achieve everything.
Yeah. And one of my early bosses said, a key thing that I still tell my team today is learn to listen.
Yeah.
It's an art where you have to sit back and listen to other people rather than just trying to drive the conversation, which at times is okay. But sometimes you just got to sit there and just understand your customer, understand your partners, understand your teammates, and everything gets be more efficient after that.
Yeah, one of the tricks in journalism that I learned over the years is ask a question and then just let them answer. Yeah. And then just shut up. Yep. And then people feel compelled to keep talking and revealing stuff, you know? That's exactly right. You can learn so much that way for sure.
Just get out of the way. Don't answer for the sake of answering. Just listen and find out what their wants, their needs are. What direction are they headed? Can you help them down the road?
Yep. And it's funny, going back to, the days from Ritz, what I found in my career was the industry started to collide. Restaurants, hotels, retail, manufacturing, industrial, commercial, corporate office spaces. Back in the day, they were all in isolation. They were little pillars. Yeah. Now you're seeing that cross-indexing and cross-referencing of not only talent, but how things are being done as well. Processes and methodology of how we work. It's all colliding at a pace that I've never seen before.
I agree with you. I mean, you can just look at MOBs, medical office buildings, over the past, 5 to 10 years. And a lot of them have quite a bit of a hospitality component to it. The colors, the seating areas, the lobbies, everything else. I mean, they're not these dreary, either off-white or gray offices and buildings anymore.
No, because they learned, a lot of hospitality designers started going into senior communities and healthcare in general, and really did some great stuff. And then you saw, once we started making strides with biophilic design in the health arena, that stuff started to come back to the hospitality industry. I think, and it's really been great ever since. And of course, the restaurant component folded into there as well. But the give and take between those two businesses has been really interesting to see how they're kind of pushing each other along.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at some of the work we did for Apple in when I was there working out of the London office. I think the best example I can give you is when we built the Barcelona location on Playa Catalunya and Paseo de Gracia.
Right.
Wow.
We went after a particular general contractor that had no retail experience in any capacity. And this particular contractor did nothing but grandiose museums.
Right.
And this particular location that we were putting together ended up being one of those types of sites. And,
Really?
And
Wow.
you know, that's what we were trying to do, was get talent and then attach it to something that we had a vision for, rather than saying, oh, let's
Right.
try and figure it out with the people we have. We
Yeah.
knew that we had to try something different. I think you're seeing that in a lot in the hospitality industry too.
Yes, but there are a lot of, I see two things. I see exactly what you're seeing, and then I see the complete polar opposite, where every select service hotel brand basically looks the same.
Yep.
So I see a lot of in the hospitality industry of, we're going to go completely different, which they do, but then everybody goes different in exactly the same way.
Yep. And you're seeing that with
Modelization.
the hotels. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Nomad version of Ritz-Carlton, you know, the off brands that they have, every hotel has them now. I think they're unique and all that, but
Right.
you're right. They are very similar to each other by capacity.
But to be fair, and I don't want to slam anybody here, the fact is, when you're looking at a select service hotel building, for example, the formula that they've come up with is just the perfect cost formula. So they all wind up kind of being the same because of that, because costs got to drive it. So then they're left with very little place to create individual identity with the hotel. And it's usually like, you know, how we're going to, you know, we're going to have this 3 rooms a little outside and 1 room indented instead of 2 and 2, you know, that sort of a thing. So there's very little variations. Yeah.
Don't forget about the mural they put on the outside too. To
Yeah,
celebrate
that was
the
also,
community.
you know, roof changes and stuff like that to try to create some sort of identity. But it's got to be tough as a designer to work within a very strict, rigid rules and then try to be creative within such constraints. How do you think about stuff like that?
No, absolutely. And I look at it from the capacity, and it's the hardest part for me is to understand the location, being centric to the location. We call it being honest to the integration of the location itself. But you look at the demographics.
I gotta stop you for a second. I love that you said being honest, because the rest of us are still using authentic. I love honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
The honest location. It's like think of the idea behind creating a boutique design for a hotel, a boutique hotel. You're not going to try and create something that belongs in Los Angeles in the middle of downtown Dallas. It does not work.
No.
Okay?
Right.
You want to be centric. You want to be honest to the environment. Then you look at some of the methodologies that are being used throughout the world. You know, they're doing modular hotels in Shanghai, Shenzhen, Chengdu, Hong Kong. And these hotels are going up in months rather than resort years.
Yep.
You're seeing verticality done in factory, and they're taking these modules and putting them in, they're just building blocks right on top of each other. It's kind of amazing how sometimes capacity is driving some of the design intent. In other situations, design intent is driving the actual equation. So it does vary by demographic.
Right. And fortunately, at the luxury level, there are a lot of times when you're not just dealing with investment money, but there's sometimes a lot of ego money in there as well. So you get to do things that you wouldn't otherwise. Listen, I worked. I did PR for a while, Michael, back in the day, and at the former Four Seasons in New York at 57, owned by Ty Warner, they were doing these specialty suites up at top with Ty Warner. He owned it, and like, man, that guy was interesting character.
It's
So-
funny, you know, to your point, we were talking about it earlier. I would just say that off of NDA and off of recording, I could tell you a whole bunch of stories about people I know just like that.
So he would be like, he made so much money that he had the luxury of being in the position of spending $30 million in the year 2003 on a suite and go, yeah, I don't like that. Let's rip it out and do something completely different. You know? Yeah, that's what I mean. But when you're talking about the general hotel business, it's like you've got to follow a lot of rules again, because there are real budgets involved. So that must be fun for you, though, to have those projects where you have certain restraints, but you're able to use that to create something fun and different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the common question we get asked most frequently is, what is so-and-so doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see that you're involved here. How do we take some of those methodologies? Like, as you guys know, the methodologies at Ritz-Carlton are unequaled,
Right.
unparalleled, and they stand the test of time. I would just say that everybody always asks, what is so-and-so doing? What is so-and-so over here doing? What are they thinking?
Right.
And they're all trying, and I like to say that my company is Switzerland as a
There you go.
and we kind of get in the middle of everything.
In that kind of world, everyone's saying, what is Pendry doing? I think the latest.
Yeah.
The big question,
Well,
right?
that's all true. It's monkey see, monkey do.
Yep.
And, everything's a secret. Everything's guarded. And what's funny? Everybody knows what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
And, I'd be dealing with some people and, they'd be asking me questions about the real estate deal. I say, hey, look, like you, I'm Switzerland.
Yep.
I'm not taking sides on this. I'm here to benefit both of you. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to get the deal closed or do you want to cancel? So,
and regardless of hotels or whatever large scale retail or flagships, etc., some of the methodologies that we've learned stems from my time at a little company called Nextel. We laughed a little bit about it, and rightfully so. Push to talk. We were building.
That was great. To be fair, that was freaking awesome technology, like 95 or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? You didn't have a national company, and
because the whole thing was you were paying so much per minute that avoided that. And it was really great if you had people in the warehouse and you wanted to talk to them or, that kind of stuff. So I just say that to the younger people that have no concept of the 19.
What it is.
If Dave was here, he'd be like, what?
Yeah, like a national walkie-talkie. How cool is that? Let's do it. Oh, that's already been done. Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just love adding a little shade and color.
We talk about methodology there. I think one of the nicest compliments that has ever been paid to myself, I was the program manager back then for the company, is when we were rolling out 30 sites a month for 3 straight years. A little company up there in the Northwest called Starbucks said, how in the heck are you guys beating us to market?
Right. And again, Starbucks had like a handful of units at that point. Right.
And they flew their team down to interview us and talk to us about how we are consistently beating them in market in every major metropolitan area.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been, like I said, it's been a great career.
Now, and you've had a varied career. You've offices, hotels, retail, and so on. What are some of the projects that, that come to mind that are your favorites? I know it's kind of like picking a child, favorite child, but there's got to be something, top 3-4 projects that you've had over your career that you just absolutely are proud of.
We have the Apple Store in Barcelona comes to mind.
Yeah.
Just because of how it was put together and designed with just gifted individuals. A couple may be watching today. Gudgel is certainly one of the most gifted individuals I've ever met. But I would say the San Francisco Ritz-Carlton from the old school library, the old city library, is off the chart. Yeah. Certainly Ritz-Carlton Caymans was a personal one for me, only because by the time we finished it, we had to turn around. It got leveled by a hurricane, so
ouch.
It had to be it was in a really tough spot. So
the Barcelona store right now.
Barcelona's it's just phenomenal. Everything about that place is just phenomenal. It's the through point, the entryways, you walk through the space, and how everything is built in an open environment, being natural to its environments. The old bank building there on the corner that we wanted to keep the facade from the exterior. Right. And then certainly the interior, you see the vaulted ceilings and the nice lifted glass wall that had never been done before at the time, and the glass staircase, etc. It was just one of those things when it was finished. People don't really understand the revenue that's driven by some of the Apple stores and the flagships. I would tell you that, the flags that are built throughout Europe, EMEA, and Asia Pac, some of the volumes and hundreds of millions of dollars each individual store does per year is staggering.
So, Michael, I just did a show on my No Vacancy show just yesterday with a designer named Paul Bishop. And, he was in Miami now, but he was in Dubai for like 28 years. And what he was saying, and this is an example of this perfectly, he goes, a great design is not about what you put in, but kind of like what you take away from it. And I see the restraint here, and it like makes it look deceptively simple, but it's so clean and just looks so great.
Yeah, and you would think that modern technology or terminology in construction would say, oh, let's go take this Apple store and make it boom and put it inside Barcelona and everybody's going to love an Apple store. Yeah, they do. But if you look at the outside facade, the stone itself comes from just down the street in Alicante, Spain.
Yeah.
So again, being honest to the environment.
Love it.
And it's a key piece that, everybody at Apple used to ingrain in everybody's heads. And it was just a great learning experience for me working with, again, some just unbelievably gifted people.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Your projects are just absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing those with us. So,
yeah. So, did you get like the latest iPhone or iPad for doing that?
The Mac, you get an iPhone, etc. And then fast forward, I leave the Apple world. I come back here to the States, and I come here to Dallas and work at Samsung.
Right.
Boy, yeah. You talk about an interesting experience.
I've got
Android.
I'm the one guy. I'm the one guy in my whole social group that's got the Android, and let me tell you, I suffer greatly for it. Not only do I have to be insulted by everybody constantly, but Apple creates a situation where anytime somebody likes something or hearts something or whatever, I get a whole separate text. So I get like 12,000 texts a day to they're like 5.
And to go, the other question I usually get asked, I'm sure you guys might even be thinking about it, working for a company like Apple, whose direct competitor is Samsung. Working at Samsung, Apple is one of the competitors that Samsung has.
Right.
Everybody always says, what's it like to work with these two giants? They're two totally different companies.
Different companies, yeah.
In every way. I mean, the methodology at Apple is simple. You don't finish and open up and reveal anything until it's absolutely perfect. In Samsung's case, go to market. And if something is wrong, we'll fix it.
I have a stove that fits that model from Samsung. Yeah.
I would say a better comparison with Samsung would be LG.
Yes.
Because you've got a ton of different products.
Yep.
And they're all, both those companies are going head to head every day, 365 a year.
Yep.
And, it's like, okay, you watch the Super Bowl or some other special, there's an LG commercial for a refrigerator. There's a Samsung commercial for a refrigerator. Then you get into their communication devices and everything else, and you're going, oh my God,
Yeah, you don't really realize just how big a company like Samsung is until you start to identify the 26 different divisions. Samsung has cars, they have clothing lines, they have hospitals, they have shipping lines, etc. They have a construction company. Samsung is almost $1 trillion a year company, revenue. And it's just staggering. And again, within the hierarchy of how Samsung is organized, just some of the people that are entrenched within these various companies that I work for, just unbelievably brilliant. I mean, it's amazing to work in an environment like that in a lot of ways.
Hey, Nikki, happy Friday.
Fox.
Yep.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, it's pretty. That's pretty wild over there. But I find some of these massive corporations are so disconnected. They're really just like lots of separate corporations that just have the same kind of name to them. I like working with a lot of small companies for sure. It's a lot easier to figure stuff out. I don't know how you figure out the pathways to success with some of these larger companies, but I find it very challenging as a content creator and a public speaker to find the right person at the right time to be able to get their attention in order to be able to create a match. So kudos to you for figuring that shit out. That's pretty impressive.
Let me tell you, we'll use last year as the experience with Client Confidential. We'll say for now, it was tough.
Yeah.
Getting in the middle of an organized group of individuals who had their own streamlines and processes. You're absolutely right. It can be difficult, but a good segue to your point is there are unbelievably massive resorts that you can build, and there could be unbelievably small little retail stores. They're
Yeah.
not easier or more difficult than the other.
Yep.
Your processes are always the same. The methodology is always the same. There may be a little bit simpler to build, a little shorter to build, et cetera, as far as timeline goes.
Uh-huh.
But the same methodology goes into it regardless of size.
Yeah. Interesting.
Now,
Craig?
you mentioned modular construction a little while ago.
Yep.
Now, is that arrived yet, or is that still in the process of trying to arrive here?
It's been, Michael, from our point of view, it's just about to arrive now for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And it is, the best part about my career, I think, is just because not only the people, but the places I've worked in. Some of the things that we see that are applying in Southeast Asia, et cetera, Japan, Hong Kong, to answer your question, have been in place for about 7-8 years now. They're working rapidly. But I don't want to say holding things back, but certainly one of the things that comes into play in the United States is permitting and zoning.
Yeah.
Right.
We did the experiential center at Samsung, and the first ever, when people weren't calling it experiential retail. That word wasn't even invented then.
Yeah.
We built 56,000 square foot location where you couldn't buy anything. And the city of New York,
Sony had one of those in Manhattan as well. I remember those.
and you look at the environment, and the city of New York couldn't figure out how to tax us.
Yeah.
How do you tax something where you're not selling anything, but yet you're getting hundreds of thousands of people coming through it?
Right. Yeah. Hey, we're having a lot of students coming through. Maybe we need a tax break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say to answer your question, yes, we're seeing modular construction in Southeast Asia. Not as fast as you might think it is, but it is prevalent in Tokyo. It's definitely prevalent in Hong Kong.
Right.
It's a matter of how it gets through permitting and zoning here, because it's not about inspections at the site per se. It's about inspections at the factory.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also, from what I understand, and I'm not sure if it's changed or not, just not enough capacity in the right locations. Remember, our country is so huge that you can't have a place in Jersey and then think you're going to handle Southern California with that, because then the economics just aren't going to work out at some point. Right.
Well, and there are some applications that could work very easily here in the United States, without naming names of hospitality companies and hotels and motels, et cetera. There are some out there that could be relatively easy to build and put into place with modular construction. Okay?
Right.
There are others out there that
successfully. There's a few hotels in Manhattan that have done that to be able to shorten the build time, because it's complicated to get jobs done in New York City. So it can be done. I would love to see more of that. I always love bringing up the most famous example of the Contemporary Hotel at Walt Disney World Resort. The original concept was they would slide in the room, and then they could renovate it by having a new room and just pull one out and put one in.
Yep.
And then they'd have a brand new room in 24 hours. But unfortunately, they didn't figure with the Florida ground, it kind of settled weird.
Settling. Yeah.
Right. So, but I love stuff like that.
They say the other problem is transporting these components. You're limited to size on public roads and certain times.
Yep.
So you're not going to see them going down the freeway, in rush hour. That just isn't going to happen. So
especially here in Dallas, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. They're here, out on Long Island where Glenn is. So
all right. So new build modular is absolutely happening. Nikki Fox says 10 plus years ago, there are many plumbing issues, yet not today. And she's also saying places in Mexico are completing full AI and digital buildings similar to millwork pieces and sewing machines. Interesting.
Yep.
I love that. And I love, Michael, one of the things I can't stand is VR, because I think mostly it's dumb. But when it comes to visualizing spaces in our universe, I think that's a banger of an idea, because a lot of times the people who are investing in the product, their minds are more numeral related as opposed to visually related, right? Yeah. So to be able to create a space that those people could really feel what it's going to be like has got to help shorten those conversations and help you get jobs and elements of jobs over the finish line better.
Yeah, I would say too, much like knowing your customer, you've also got to know your place in a boardroom. If you're dealing with 60, 70, 80-year-old men that are financing whatever projects, VR is not going to be the way, right?
Right.
However, It will be. It will be in the future. It's absolutely be rampant across the board. Yes, it's being implemented in certain portions as we go, and yes, absolutely, it's advantageous. But you have to know your customer. You have to know your client. There are certain people that engage in digital experiences like that in order to see things like that.
Mhm.
Others are just like, don't want to see it. I want to see the old school storyboards. I want to see the old color boards. I want to see the sample boards. Like, okay, we do that too.
I think that's pretty awesome. But like for me, like I never understood how you're supposed to look at a swatch and then understand how it all is supposed to play out. It doesn't compute for me.
I'm with you.
My brain is all words.
Yep.
Yeah, I see everything in words. I don't see anything in visual images that are coherent.
Yep.
So, the VR thing for me to experience just is a game changer. Yeah.
It's a game changer. It really is.
Yeah, but I get that older folks don't want to adapt because I've been in this digital universe for most of my career now, and I was told I was told for a lot of years for the like old guard, they were all about the trade magazines and they couldn't handle going online. So a lot of times it takes a generation in order to be able to move forward with certain technologies.
Well, you're right on the money. I mean, one of the things that I do as a company is I try and get out there and teach the next generation.
There you go.
Public engagements is a big piece of our business. So one of the things we talk about is what's happening with the deteriorating labor market. And then you have 6 generations in the workforce has never happened before in the history of the United States. So you have traditionalists that have been born in the 20s and 30s that are still working.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And you're so right.
And then
Some of these old folks are freaking badasses that they're still working.
Then you have some folks that are entering the workforce that were born in 2007. Okay.
Yeah.
So
That was like freaking 2 Thursdays ago, 2007. It's insane.
So I play a little game sometimes at some of the trade shows I talk to. I call it, at the time I called it 5 chairs. I would take one person from every generation,
right,
and I'd put them up on the stage, and I would talk about how we engage with each other. And I said, I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to ask you one question today. Who's the first person you voted for?
Yeah.
And one of the ladies goes, Dwight Eisenhower. I'm like,
I like Ike.
I know, I like Ike. And there was one that was sitting right next to her, Bill Clinton. Another one was Barack Obama. And I'm like, holy cow, when you look at that and you look at people's experiences, it really does impact how you engage with them in a business.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Richard is saying, I think it's the responsibility of every boomer to roll back technological development.
Yeah. Love it.
That was good.
They said email was coming out. It was going to save a bunch of paper. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I remember those early days with email where we were told that, and then also at my job, which company I won't name, we had to print out all those emails.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Just in case.
Signature in blue ink. Yeah.
Well, remember they said the same thing about the fax machine. Then they discovered that the fax would disappear after time. So if you got to fax it, you had to go copy that as well and put it in the file in case there was a subpoena.
Well, they had that weird thermal paper or whatever that was, right?
Yeah.
It was like it reminds me of the mimeograph machines when I was a kid.
Dating yourself.
I remember like being like 8 years old and getting to go do the mimeograph machine, and then all you wanted to do was like sniff the paper and stuff like that. I think that was the first time I got stoned. Yeah.
We talk about careers. I've only been doing this about 30 years now. Okay. And it's been a great career. Don't get me wrong.
Whatever, newbie. Yeah.
But think about it. Back in the days when I first started, some people might laugh at this. When the FedEx truck showed up at your job site, some serious shit was going down. Pardon my French. Right? Yeah. When that truck showed up, it was a big deal. Nowadays, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I know. I still have like I hate to be like the old guy, but the excitement of getting a package used to be such a big freaking deal. And now I get something from Amazon like every 12 minutes. I still get excited.
Yeah, sorry, I had a little background noise there.
No, that's all right. It's all good. So Michael, I was with Craig in Tucson, Arizona. We were at My Place Hotels conference at the Los Ventana Canyon, which is undergoing a massive renovation
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to see. I haven't stayed at a hotel that's been in the middle of a renovation in a while, and it's great to see what the process is, right? How certain rooms were out, certain rooms were just returned, and I got to stay in a brand new room, and all that was fun. But then I rented a car because I wanted to go to a Tribal Net, a Native American gaming event in Las Vegas the following week. So I figured I'd rent a car and go to Laughlin, Nevada on my way. And I had a sense that Laughlin, Nevada was kind of going to be a time capsule, right? So I was really excited about this. And boy, oh boy, I hit it out of the park with that prediction. It is like frozen in time in like the 80s kind of 90s kind of vibe. It's like when it opened, whenever it opened 35, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, that's where those properties are. So it was so cool for me as like a hotel resort casino enthusiast to like kind of peel back the layers of time. Although they got to do something about their ventilation system. You open the door to the casino and like the smoke just comes flying out.
Did you get on the water taxi and go hotel to hotel?
Bro, that was the best. So the water taxi is $5 to get on. I would recommend paying cash. A pro tip: pay cash for the water taxi. Don't go and buy the ticket in advance online because they'll charge you tax online. So I paid $5.45 instead of just $5. So don't fall into that trap that I did. I regretted it for the rest of the night. All right.
Did they take you across the river to Bullhead in the airport?
No, but I could see the airport from my room at the Harrah's that I was staying at. So it was great because I was at the Harrah's, and the Harrah's was at the north end of it. So I got into the water taxi. We love dogs, by the way, Mike. Craig's dog Mikhail come in every once in a while. So I get on the boat, and I took the boat all the way down to the one that's furthest south, down Laughlin's Riverside Resort. And then I literally went to every single resort and walked the 2 miles
on the water.
And just walked through every single casino and had the experience and all of that. And I just had the best time. Mike, I just love going to like casino resorts and just seeing what they're like. I even stopped at one in the middle of the desert in Nevada, a Terrible's Casino. It was like a rinky-dink desert bar with like 12 slot machines and a Denny's. And it was like the coolest effing thing ever for me.
No gas station?
Not at that one.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a surprise. I would have figured there would have been a gas station there.
Yeah.
I like going to some of the old towns, like Old Town McKinney here in North Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Look at some of the hotels back there. It's like going through the Wayback Machine. It's amazing.
It's Nevada. Yes, I know it's Nevada, but I know. I know. Yet here we are. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about that. Hey, Amy says, "Good to see you, Michael."
Good to see you guys too. It's been fun.
Yeah, this is great. I'm having so much fun doing this show with you. So I also went to. I want to talk about design and stuff like this with you, Michael, for a second in master planning. I went to the South Point Casino Resort. It's an off-strip resort in Las Vegas. I want to thank my friends over at Curve and Doak for turning me on to this place. I got a great video coming up on No Vacancy next week on this, or maybe the week after next, because I got live shows next week. But I was blown away. And Mike, very rarely am I blown away by a casino resort. Like I thought I knew it all because I've been to Vegas 150 times. And then I go to this place and it like totally like shakes me to the core about what my understanding was. So this place was so focused on making the locals experience amazing, but also was great at attracting unique and individual types of groups. They've got a championship bowling center, only one of two in the entire country. They've got an arena that's really an equestrian center. They can house 1,200 horses there. So they get all sorts of rodeo events. In fact, Boot Barn was holding their annual conference there. I went to my first buffet in like 10, 15 years, and $28, reasonably priced. And for a snooty McGee over here, pretty good for that. It was pretty good value. So overall, but the craziest thing happened to me. I went to go see, they were nice enough to come me to go see the Kenny Rogers band. They're not a cover band. They were actually Kenny Rogers band, right? So I saw them in the showroom, and I'm like, I'd like a vodka soda, please. So she comes back, and she's like, get this, that'll be $5. And I'm like, what now? What? That's the tip on the $25 drink I have to get on the strip. So the value was just freaking insane. And like the design was wonderful. You all out there should check out the video I did of my suite room tour and stuff like that.
That was good. That's a nice room.
Yeah. So I don't know where I'm going with any of this, Michael, but I just wanted to share it was exciting for me.
Yeah, I know the best piece that we used to say is when people walk into a site or a hotel or a retail center, et cetera, you have that moment of, the old Apple days, surprise and delight, where people look around and they go, holy cow, how in the heck did they do this?
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody's after.
Yeah.
I wish it was as easy as just hiring a bunch of great designers and making something great, but it really isn't.
No, it's more.
When you talk about creating something from nothing but a scratch of a piece of paper, it's about the approach that you go through it, the ideation that goes through it, and then certainly the creative as you get into architecture, et cetera. But the understanding who your customer is, and most importantly, who your customer is not.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing how sometimes really good brands are successful at that, and other brands, okay, we'll do that. I'm just telling you, here's the forewarning. You might not be in a good position in a year.
Michael, yeah, go on. Correct.
I was going to say that's always at the crux of it.
Yep.
Okay. If you're trying to be everything to everybody, you're nothing to everybody. Know who your clients are. Know who your clients are. Yeah. Well, there's certain points in time where Glenn and I share the same brain, and that
because the worst thing you could do is be in that area called the mushy middle, right, where there's no real definition to what you are. It's better to focus on something very specific instead of something very generic. And the South Point, with their focus on horses and cowboys and all that kind of stuff, it didn't necessarily connect with me on certain levels as a New York guy raised on Long Island, but I certainly appreciated it. And I got to tell you, the energy there was off the charts. Sunday night at 10 o'clock, this place was buzzing with activity, great vibes, and excitement that you don't see at certain strip resorts on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays. Freaking 11 in the morning, I'm doing this podcast with the general manager. We're doing a walk and talk, and there's so much electricity all around this property. And I've been to so many conferences at some of the major strip resorts, and it feels empty and sad and depressing. And this was the polar opposite. So kudos to everybody over at that place for creating something that's just unique and special.
Yeah, and kudos to the ownership and leadership that realized they had to go in that direction.
Exactly.
I think it was one of the coolest things that I experienced last year in New York was identifying the Ritz-Carlton new brand in Nomad.
Right.
And when you go there, I walked in, I was walking around going, wait a minute, this is Ritz-Carlton?
Yeah.
My vision of Ritz-Carlton it was my career. And I'm like, holy cow, man, these guys actually did it. It worked great. It was perfect for that particular environment, that part of the city. And I just left there going, holy crap, where was this stuff when I was doing this?
Totally. Another brand I think that did a great job at kind of reinventing itself was Renaissance. I thought that they were on the precipice of irrelevancy, and they went from something that was old school stuffy to modern and fun and interesting. And I've just been delighted to see some of the designs that they've done with that brand, for example.
Yeah, I went to a trade show a few years ago, and I met a couple people from Virgin Hotels. And I got to tell you, same type of vision.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really
Glenn and I have worked with them. They're great.
Yeah, great people.
Yeah. Now, the one that's interesting to me right now is W, how
Yep.
they're going to reinvent themselves.
Yep.
They need to.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. And I think they've got one under construction right now or renovation to bring it into the 21st century.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there because that was such a hit in its day.
Well,
but
right. And sometimes that could be the Achilles heel. You could be so good and so popular. I think they had like 19 hotels at one point, and the brand recognition of a company that would have 500 or 1,000 hotels, right?
Yeah.
So when you're so blazing hot, sometimes you represent a moment in time more than being timeless, because what got you there is such a shift in that design dialogue, right? That it moves it so forward, then the rest of the world kind of catches up with you. Am I talking full of shit, Mike?
Not at all. Not at all. You're actually right on the money. I'll give you a name that has gone through this over the last 2 or 3 years. Before I tell you the company name, building a retail store that had one particular person inside of it, because all you had to do was pass through cashierless, etc. Remember those big trend 3 years ago? Everybody wanted cashierless entry.
Yeah.
It ended up being somewhat successful. And now Amazon says we're shutting these sites down. We're going to reinvent them. So the key piece there to take away from what you're experiencing, what you just mentioned, is it's ever evolving.
Yeah.
Everything is ever evolving. You're not going to be stagnant for 5 or 10 years anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to shift quickly. And it's shifting according to, generational changes, et cetera. Technology certainly has shifted how things are going. But I can tell you that the American culture and the American customer wants something new consistently. And it shifts faster than I've ever seen it. We used to have a hotel that would be a 5 or 10 year deal and it'd be like, oh, this is how it's going to be. To your point, it's going to shift faster and faster and faster.
And I guess that's probably why more companies are leaning into more traditional types of design, because if you go too far, then you risk having to reinvent too quickly, and that doesn't pencil out on the the P&L, right?
Yeah, it's like the old the Apple mall stores. You walk into them, what do you see? You see a lot of stainless steel that's very specific, and it's built down to a 3 millimeter gap across the entire perimeter. It's a phenomenal idea for durability. Is it something that you can just pick up and remodel? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
not at all.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you another example. Number of years ago, BMW bought Mini Cooper and played that nostalgia card. And for a while there, you were seeing them everywhere. Okay. Now they're floundering. Where do you go with this legacy brand to bring it up to the 21st century where it's beyond the people that are my age who remember them?
Yep.
And they can't figure it out. They're still having problems with that.
Well, there's a reason that Chevy Novas are no longer built. Okay?
Well, let's take it a step farther. Does GM really need Buick? I think they've got 2 models.
Bro, that's the name, man. Buick was in my head. I was just going to say that. You just beat me to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, who? And I'm also thinking about like
Chrysler.
Oldsmobile.
Right. Minivan, that's it.
Oldsmobile got so desperate they made a change. It was like, "We're not your father's Oldsmobile." So right on the nose.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a danger for all brands out
all
there.
These legacies, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not to the fault of your own, but if you represent a different generational shift, and new generations wanting to claim things as their own, leaves you in a position of vulnerability that you may not be able to escape from.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, iPhone is 17 years old?
Yeah.
2007. Okay, so it's 17 years old. If you think about all the transitional changes in just product lines, etc., then I would encourage that. I don't have it handy. I could pull up some presentation I did somewhere, but I used to talk about the year 1980, the year 2000, and the year 2020. And I said, here are your top 10 companies, and look at how it used to be cars and gasoline.
Yeah,
and it's no longer cars and gasoline. It was Fast Company and Google and Apple and all this, and it's going to change again.
Yeah.
everything changes systemically according to what people are looking for.
Look at San Francisco right now, and there has just been a rush of office space that's been leased to AI companies.
Yep.
And city of San Francisco is going to be depending on them quite a bit to bring their city back. Not just the office space leasing, but the restaurants come back, the sales tax comes back, the hotels start getting full again. And there was some company that just signed a lease. I think it was for 2 million square feet of office space in San Francisco. They're an AI company.
Right, I told you you're not allowed to share that yet about what I just did.
Well, when they find out that producer David's really a robot,
right?
They'll know.
Yep.
Well, I thought they could tell by the humor quality he brings to the program. But,
What humor?
Yeah.
Like what you just mentioned, an awful lot like the .com boom.
Yeah, exactly.
I unfortunately had all my money in pets.com. So,
there we go.
Pets will never leave. They're always going to be
sock puppet, Michael. I fell for the sock puppet. What are you going to do? Speaking of sock puppets, before we get into the moment of the show that you've all been tuning for. So, Michael, I got to say this. I have no idea who you were, and we never know how one of these shows are going to go. Is it going to be, I got to freaking work hard or not? You have been so awesome.
Right. Yeah.
I wish this could keep going. I'm having so much fun on this conversation. So thanks so much for being here. Now tell us about the Michael Cook Group and whatever else you want to sell.
Oh, perfect. In a 5-minute platform speech, I would just say our engagement model is catered toward those innovators and entrepreneurs that want to create something and they just don't know how to start. Our pillar system is very simple. Approach, ideation, creation, build, develop, maintain.
Nice.
Talk about people within the finance departments or banking, etc., who's ever going to finance your project. Why are we here? Just asking that simple question. Why are we here? As we get through that approach phase, then we go into ideation. What are we trying to do? What are we trying to do? And then we get into creative, which is the first time we engage with design and architects. And then certainly build, develop, and then maintain. How do we build something that maintains its life cycle? So at the Michael Cook Group, it's very simple. We like to talk to people who have an idea, either digitally or physically, and need to go to market with their product in commercial, retail, and certainly hospitality.
Beautiful.
And I don't want to be a big company. You'll never hear me say that I want to be as big as some of my competitors who are very large companies and those that have tried to buy me out in the past. I want to be centric to a few customers a year. I want to be centric to a few key individuals so they know that it's personal. People say, Michael, why do you call it the Michael Cook Group? Because it's personal to me. I lose sleep over this stuff every night simply because I want to do what's right for your brand. I want my people to engage with you personally and make it feel like they are you.
It also looks like it's age you, considering you're only like 27. So
exactly. Thank you. Big Christmas present right there.
Awesome. So, Michael, I'd love to have you come on No Vacancy at some point and talk about all the serious stuff over there. But speaking of serious stuff, Craig, we got some serious shit that you need to talk about over there, right?
Absolutely. Glenn and I live Friday Night Audit, October 7th at the Lodging Conference.
Yeah.
So we will be going live approximately 4 p.m. We're not sure if we're doing 2 audits that day or not, but also on Thursday.
We're going to do 2 the same day?
We might if we go outdoors, if the signal and everything works.
Cataclysmic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's ridiculous. Yeah, you're right, Michael. That's ridiculous. All right. So, hey, live Friday Night Audit from the Lodging Conference. And the best part is y'all can come on this show.
Be in the audience, be on the show, join us.
But the rule is if you want to come on the show, you got to bring Craig and I a cocktail because we're not going to be able to get our asses up to go get the drinks. So
That's right.
Yeah. So hook us up on that. We'll get you on the show. We'll have a good time. Yeah. So
And then
that'll
on
be
Thursday. We're doing a 3-minute Thursday, and we'll be talking about the lodging conference at that and our thoughts and impressions. So join us for that. You can possibly join us on the air with that. And then on the 25th of September, producer Danny and I are back in production on season 10 of Click Connect. Can't wait. Michael's going to join us, so you can catch him there as well.
Fun.
And then on March 5th and 6th, 2025, the 8th Annual California Lodging Investment Conference. Don't leave your future up to the Magic 8 Ball. Join us. Glenn is moderating panels. We've got experts to tell you what's going on in the California hotel market. So if you are in the California hotel market or want to be, this is the event to attend. We will be having a lodging conference special. Stay tuned for that. I'll let you know when the gate opens, and the tickets will be on sale for $400, and they will never be any cheaper. And that will end on the Monday after the lodging conference, which will go to our early bird special of $450 for the rest of the year. And then January 1st, it goes up to our normal $650. So we're encouraging you to join us. And then, Glenn, you can take this down, but there's one more thing. I answered a request for proposal to our good friend, Cynthia Zucker. Her son's getting married.
What?
Getting married in March.
Mm-hmm.
I offered up the after party at Click for the wedding and the wedding reception, and I offered up you to perform the ceremony.
That's
so,
awesome.
Cynthia, we're here for you. You've done so much for us. We're willing to help you out with this.
Cynthia, I've already proven that I can marry people. That the couple that I betrothed has not gotten divorced, so I am a good luck charm. So there's that. And if you would like it to be fish themed, then I've already got that on lockdown since we already did
that.
Also, FU to my good buddies Brian and Doug, who bumped into Trey from Fish in Central Park the other day and got pictures with him, and I was nowhere to be found because I was in Laughlin.
Glenn, do I need to call the doctor?
There's that.
Where's
So
the cricket?
Michael, my buddies and I have been following this band Fish for more than 30 years. So I got my own Trey souvenirs, but I haven't got a picture with the dude yet. And I was at the Fish shows at Sphere in Vegas in April. And I had the opportunity to work out of the Sirius XM studios at Wynn Resorts to interview Todd Avery Lenahan, the top designer with Wynn Resorts over there. And my show got bumped, and it got bumped because Fish was doing an interview, and I missed them by a couple of minutes to get my picture. So I've got a lot of negative feelings.
You need a hug, Glenn.
I might.
Group hug.
I know.
There we go.
Yeah. So I'm dealing with that. All right. While I'm suffering this nightmare of my friends getting to meet our guitar hero, when I have not gotten the photo with him, I would love to see all of you guys. I'm going to look at my calendar over there on the wall. I will be live at the Red Roof Annual Conference at Mohegan Sun, hosting a town hall session. Get to all the issues that the owners really care about. After that, I'll be at the lodging conference. Of course, I'll be hitting the main stage. I've got a lot of great top industry executives that I'll be interviewing, and I think I'm going to be asking them questions about leadership. I don't want to hear any of this shit about what inning we are in the hotel cycle. No. So I'm going in a totally different way with this. Also, I want to thank our friends over at Unifocus for sponsoring me on all the videos I'll be doing. Also be at hospitality show. I'll be speaking at Hotel Spaces in Palm Springs on 28th of October or 26th, the 5th of, I don't know, something last week of October, last Monday of October. I'll be there. So go check that out. And hey, if you want me for one of your events, book me for moderating panels like I did at my place last week. If you want me to do keynote speeches like I I did at the high tech conference. If you want me to do your wedding, like I did for my friend Steve and Claudia, I can do that too. Hey, listen, I'm open to bar mitzvahs, and you probably shouldn't trust me for brisses. But other than that, I am your guy. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, Glenn.
Yeah.
Before we leave, play that wonderful footage of Liz Smith from last week that producer David couldn't.
Oh, I didn't do the footage yet. You said I thought you would have that for the lodging conference.
Well, we'll have it for the lodging conference.
Well, let's just do this picture then.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Lazy River race from last year.
All right.
Love
and
it.
I want to tell you, Craig, your title of being the laziest MFer in that river is up for grabs. I am going to so out lazy your ass. You're gonna freaking love it. All right, everybody. Come
but see if Harry pays you like he did me.
October 7th, come see me lollygag in the lazy river at the lodging conference. Oh, that's a lot of L's. I'm gonna be living Mike, don't go anywhere. All right, see you later. Be well.
Bye, everybody. Don't talk over the